You ever have your whole life vanish in the span of a single afternoon? That's what happened to me. 6 months ago, my Ryan slipped right out of my world, and he hasn't come back. It's been 169 days of waking up to an empty house, an echo where his voice used to be, and a life flipped completely upside down. There wasn't a note, no argument, no big scene. He just evaporated. Like smoke, leaving nothing behind but silence. And the part that twists the knife? Everyone, my family, his family, our friends, even strangers online, acts like I had it coming. My name's Chloe, and I've been driving myself half crazy chasing after a man who clearly wants to stay lost. And it all started over something so small. I'd left my laptop open on the kitchen counter while I ran to the front door to grab a delivery. Harmless, right? Just a package. But when I came back, Ryan was standing over my computer. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even frowning. His face was blank. And that, looking back, should have been my first clue. Ryan was never blank. His expressions always told you exactly what was on his mind: joy, annoyance, curiosity, you name it. "What's wrong?" I asked him, setting the box down on the counter. He didn't answer. Just closed the laptop gently, almost too calmly, and headed upstairs. I heard drawers sliding open, the closet door shifting on its track. By the time I got up there, he had a suitcase on the bed. He was folding clothes like he'd planned this for weeks. "Ryan, what are you doing?" I asked, my voice already shaky. Still, no answer. He just kept packing the shirts, work clothes, toiletries, his grandfather's old watch. Nothing from our life together. Nothing sentimental. Nothing shared. "Please, will you just talk to me?" "What did you see?" I finally blurted. That's when he stopped for half a heartbeat. He looked at me, and I swear I didn't recognize his eyes. They were cold, far away, like he was staring at a stranger. And then he said just one word. "Everything." Then he went right back to packing. My stomach dropped because I knew exactly what he meant. The messages. Months of back and forth with Tyler, my coworker. Not just messages either, to plans, photos, the works. All sitting wide open in my email, right there for Ryan to see. "Ryan, I can explain," I pleaded. "No, just that. Quiet, steady, final. No questions. No shouting. No bargaining. Just, I'm done. You can't just leave." I begged. "Watch me," he said. And I did. I stood there while he zipped the suitcase, grabbed his keys, and walked past me like I was nothing but air. I trailed him down the stairs, my voice cracking, begging, promising, apologizing. But he didn't so much as flinch. He loaded the car, started it, and drove away. It was July 10th. A Tuesday. I remember because I thought he'd be back once he cooled down. Men storm off, right? They need space, they slam a few doors, but eventually they come back for the argument, the tears, maybe even counseling. That's the script. That's how it usually goes. But Ryan didn't play by that script. Not once. I called him over and over, until his voicemail filled up. I wrote long texts, pages of apologies, explanations, desperate pleas. Every one of them showed as delivered, but none were ever read. I drove to his office. They said he'd taken leave. I knocked on his brother's door, no answer. His parents' place, his mom peeked through the curtain, then shut it right in my face. By week 3, my panic was full-blown. People don't just erase themselves over one betrayal, right? They get angry, they confront you, they break down. But they don't vanish like they never existed. Still, Ryan did. I tried everything, posting on his Facebook, messaging him on Instagram, Twitter, even LinkedIn. But he blocked me on every account, every attempt. I even tried creating new profiles. Somehow, he always shut me out, like he could smell me coming. I emailed his work, and the message bounced back, his account deactivated. Our mutual friends weren't any help either. I cornered Brooke, the one I thought would stick by me no matter what. "Have you heard from Ryan?" I asked her. "Yes," she said, flat as stone. "Is he okay?" "Where is he?" I pressed. "He's fine. But he doesn't want you to know where he is." "Brooke, please. I made a mistake, but this is crazy. He can't just disappear." "Apparently he can," she shot back. "And honestly, Chloe, after what you did, I don't blame him." "What I did?" "I had an affair." "People have affairs all the time, Brooke. They don't just." "You had an affair with his cousin's husband. At their wedding reception. While Ryan was giving the best man speech." Hearing it out loud, it hit me like a brick. I'd managed to shove it into the corner of my mind, but framed that way, it sounded unforgivable. Tyler and I had been flirting for months. The wedding was just where it crossed the line. And yes, it was Ryan's cousin Sophie's new husband, but their marriage was already shaky. Everyone knew that, I told myself. It wasn't like I broke something whole. Wasn't it? Brooke's voice was like ice. Because Sophie found out too. She saw those same messages on your laptop. The ones where you bragged about what happened at the reception. She's filing for divorce. 3 months married, and it's already over. So yeah, Chloe, Ryan walked away. And I can't say I blame him. Then she hung up. I just sat there, staring at my phone. Sophie had seen the messages too? How? Then it clicked. That morning, I'd been at their place, using their computer to print directions. I must have left my email logged in. If Ryan had been showing her something on that laptop, she would have seen everything. And suddenly the reality hit me full force. This wasn't just about an affair. It was about who it was with. When it happened. How public, how humiliating. I hadn't just betrayed Ryan, I'd embarrassed him in front of his own family. I tried reaching out to Sophie first, thinking if I could patch that wound, maybe Ryan would give me a chance to explain. But she blocked me too. Her family circled around her, shut me out completely. And Tyler? He wanted no part of it anymore. He texted me once, "This was just fun. Not worth wrecking my life over." Then he blocked me too. By the next month, I was unraveling. Ryan hadn't just left me. He'd erased himself so thoroughly, it felt surgical. When Ryan left, he didn't just walk out, he erased himself cleanly, almost like he'd planned every detail. Our joint bank accounts? Split right down the middle. He didn't take a penny more than what was his. The house was safe too, it was in my name since my parents had given it to me, so he had no claim there. But the man took everything else that was his. Clothes, books, his whole gaming setup, even those tacky movie posters I always rolled my eyes at. And the photos, we had frames all over the place, and he made sure every single one was empty before he left. Blank walls, hollow spaces, like he'd never even lived there. I was desperate enough to hire a private investigator, even though it made me feel like a stalker in my own marriage. He took my money, did his digging, and came back with a verdict that crushed me: "Your husband doesn't want to be found. New phone number, moved out of state, pays cash for everything." The only trace he'd uncovered was that Ryan had filed for divorce in Nevada. Quick, clean, no fault. The papers showed up on my doorstep one random Wednesday, handed to me by a courier like it was nothing more than a delivery. Dissolution of marriage. No demands, no accusations, just a request to end our 5-year union as simply as possible. His signature was already there, and the only address listed was a P.O. box. No trail to follow. I held out for weeks, refusing to sign, convincing myself it was the only leverage I had. If he wanted out, he'd have to face me. At least that's what I told myself. But my lawyer shut that down fast. He doesn't need you to sign to finalize this. It'll just take longer, she explained. And honestly, Chloe, dragging it out only makes you look worse. Sign the papers. Let the man go. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not without seeing him one last time. Not without making him understand that yes, I'd made a huge mistake, but we also had 5 years together, a whole life built side by side. People don't just throw that away without at least a conversation, do they? So I started haunting places I thought he might return to, the little coffee shop in Columbus where we'd had our first date, the bookstore where he could lose hours flipping through history sections, the hiking trails that always cleared his head. I kept waiting. He never showed. It was like he'd been wiped off the map. By the 3rd month, I broke down. I turned to social media. I didn't post details, I wasn't that reckless, but I wrote vague things about missing him, about forgiveness, about second chances. My hope was that sympathy might turn into information. Maybe someone, somewhere, would tell me where he was. It blew up in my face. Within hours, somebody dropped the truth in the comments, the affair, the cousin's wedding, the whole ugly story. Screenshots of messages I thought were private. And just like that, I was trending on Reddit under some headline like, "Woman cheats with groom at wedding, shocked when husband disappears." The comments were merciless. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This guy is my hero, no drama, just gone. People from all over the world weighed in on my marriage, my choices, my looks. They tracked down my Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. The DMs poured in, half insults, half lectures. Some were so cruel I had to make everything private. But screenshots live forever, and soon my employer got wind of it. HR called me in for a standards and values conversation. I wasn't fired, but I walked out knowing I was on thin ice. Meanwhile, Tyler wasn't so lucky. He lost his job completely. Turns out he'd been using his company card to pay for our hotel stays. The worst part wasn't the internet mob or HR. It was the isolation. Friends who'd forgiven me for other mistakes suddenly drew their line. Even my sister, who'd always defended me, wouldn't let me spin excuses this time. "You humiliated him," she said bluntly. Not just by cheating, but with Sophie's husband. At her wedding. While Ryan was giving a speech about love and commitment. Do you even understand how that must have felt? To be talking about loyalty while you were sneaking around? I tried to argue, I said it was a mistake. She cut me off. "No, Chloe. A mistake is spilling coffee on the rug. You made a choice. A selfish, cruel choice. And now you're dealing with the consequences. Ryan doesn't owe you closure. He doesn't owe you anything." By month 4, I finally landed in a therapist's office, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't function anymore. Sleep had abandoned me, food had no taste, and every thought circled back to Ryan. Dr. Patel was the first person who didn't meet me with judgment. "Tell me about the affair," she said. "Not the details. I want to know why." I had never really asked myself that. Excitement, I guess, I admitted. Ryan was steady, predictable. Tyler was the opposite. "Dangerous how?" she pressed. "He was married. Unavailable." The sneaking around was thrilling. I hesitated before adding, and the fact that he was Ryan's cousin's husband, I didn't plan that. It just happened. The wedding was when the line finally got crossed. Dr. Patel scribbled notes. "How do you think Ryan felt when he discovered all this?" "Betrayed. Hurt. Angry. All true." "But what else?" she nudged. I thought about it, really thought. Humiliated. Like our whole relationship was a joke. Like he was a fool for trusting me. "And if you were him, feeling those things, what would you need?" "Space," I whispered. "Distance. Time away from the person who caused the pain. Then why are you trying so hard to track him down? She asked gently. Because I need him to know I'm sorry. That it wasn't about him. That I love him. Do you? Her eyes searched mine. Or do you love the stability he represented? That question haunted me. Did I love Ryan himself, or the life we'd built, the security, the house, the comfort of knowing he'd always be there? When I pictured what I missed most, it was Sunday mornings with coffee and the paper. His cooking. The way he smoothed things over with my family. Safe things. Comfortable things. I don't know, I finally admitted. Then maybe his leaving, she said softly, is a gift. For both of you. By month 5, I'd stopped expecting news. But then my cousin bumped into Ryan's sister at a concert down in Nashville. She mentioned, casually, that Ryan was doing well. That he had a new job. I found out he was seeing someone. That single detail knocked the wind out of me. Seeing someone? Already? We weren't even officially divorced yet. How could he move on that quickly? It had only been 5 months. I'd wrecked my own life for him, lost friends, burned bridges. I became a small-scale internet scandal, the kind people whisper about but forget a week later. And now he was dating? I doubled down on trying to track him down. Hired another private investigator, one less concerned with ethics. That PI found Ryan in Oregon. He had a steady job at some tech company, was living quietly in a small apartment. No social media. No listed number. But he was alive. And by the look of it, doing just fine. I booked a flight right away. I showed up at his work, waiting in the parking lot like some cliché stalker. When he walked out, laughing with his coworkers, my heart just stopped. He looked good. Healthy. Happier, even. His hair had grown longer, and there was a beard now. But it was definitely Ryan. He noticed me before I could even move toward him. The laughter fell off his face. That same unreadable expression he'd worn 5 months ago replaced it. He said something to his coworkers. They glanced at me and quickly scattered. Then he walked straight to his car, a new one I didn't recognize, without so much as a nod in my direction. Ryan, wait. I called. He stopped but didn't turn around. How did you find me? He asked. Does it matter? We need to talk. No, we don't. 5 years, Ryan. Don't I at least deserve? He turned then, and the look in his eyes hit me like a slap. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pain. It was nothing. He looked at me like I was just another problem to deal with, not someone he'd once loved. Deserve? You deserve exactly what you gave me, Chloe. Nothing. No explanation. No closure. No dramatic confrontation. Just a void. That's not fair, I said. Fair? He almost smiled. Was it fair when you slept with Tyler in a coat closet while I was out there telling 300 people about how love conquers all? Was it fair reading messages about how boring I was compared to him? Was it fair finding out from my own cousin that my wife was the reason her marriage collapsed after 3 months? I never meant. I don't care what you meant, he said. I care what you did. And what you did told me everything I needed to know about how much I mattered to you. You mattered, I whispered. You still matter. Ryan, please. Stop. He held up a hand. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Drama. Excitement. Passion. He shook his head. Well, I'm not giving it to you. I'm not going to yell or cry or fight for us. I'm just going to live my life without you in it. What about forgiveness? Second chances? Forgiveness isn't about you, he said quietly. I'll forgive you eventually, for my own peace. But that doesn't mean I have to let you back into my life. Second chances are for mistakes. You made choices. Deliberate, calculated choices. 4 months. A woman walked up then. Pretty, but in a simple, understated way. She touched Ryan's arm lightly, glancing between us with concern. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Fine," Ryan said, his voice softening for her. Chloe was just leaving. Not my ex-wife. Not an explanation. Just my name. Like I was anyone. Like I was no one special. "This is why you won't talk to me?" I demanded. "Because of her?" "No," he said simply. "I won't talk to you because I have nothing to say. Go home, Chloe. Sign the divorce papers. Move on." "I have." He got into the car with her and drove off without looking back. I stood there in that parking lot, in a city that wasn't mine, realizing it was truly over. Not because he'd found someone else, but because he'd found peace without me. I flew home that night and signed the divorce papers first thing the next morning. The filing was fast. Uncontested. By month 6, I was officially divorced. Officially alone. Officially the villain in a story that went viral, then faded from everyone's memory except mine. Ryan never came back online. Never unblocked me. Never gave me the dramatic confrontation I'd been rehearsing in my head, the chance to explain, apologize, or make promises. He just erased himself from my life as cleanly as he'd once planned our future together. My therapist says I'm grieving not just the relationship, but the story I'd built in my head about how it would end. I imagined drama, passion, a shot at redemption. Instead, I got silence. The opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. And Ryan's total indifference to me is what's eating me alive. Why does his reaction bother you so much? Dr. Patel asked me last week. Because it's like I never mattered, I said. Like 5 years meant nothing. Or, she said, maybe it meant so much that the only way he could heal was to act as though you never existed. Sometimes the deepest wounds require the greatest distance. I still see Tyler sometimes around town. We don't speak. He's trying to save his marriage, or so I've heard. Good luck with that. Sophie still won't return my calls, and I don't blame her. The friends I lost haven't come back. The internet has moved on to fresh scandals. But I'm still here in this house with empty picture frames, searching the web at 3 a.m. for ways to find someone who doesn't want to be found. Still checking my phone for messages that will never come. Still half expecting Ryan to break and crave closure the way I do. But he won't. I know that now. Ryan gave me exactly what I gave him, a unilateral decision to end things without input or consideration. He found out I'd cheated, and he disappeared. And somehow, that's worse than any fight we could have had. Because fighting would mean he still cared. Vanishing means he decided I wasn't worth the effort. Everyone thinks I deserve this, the isolation, the silence, the total erasure from his life. They're probably right. I humiliated him in the worst possible way, at the worst possible time, with the worst possible person.